Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
I'm Elisa Longo.
Hi. Oh, hi.
Yeah. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek Prodigy, all of Season 2. We're focusing on the last 5 episodes, but really covering everything. It's a bonanza. It's a celebration with showrunners Dan Hageman and Kevin Hageman. Thank you so much for joining us and for making Star Trek Prodigy.
Thank
No,
you.
dude, no, both hands, both
Whoa.
hands.
Whoa!
Look at that.
That's
If
Whoa.
I can do that.
Style points. Style points.
There we go.
Dan was always the smart and talented one. So, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
can we just start off, first of all, everybody watching at home, keep watching Prodigy. You know why we're doing this. Just keep watching, keep clicking, keep hashtagging. Do what you got to do, because guess what? You just watched Prodigy and you loved it and you want more of it, and you can probably control that. You can actually make more of this happen. So let's do that. We'll talk about that more a little bit later. But first of all, Kevin and Dan, is this the busiest month you've ever had with regards to like PR and promoting?
I think
Ever.
Walkie takes the cake on that. I think we come in every once in a while, but I feel like Walkie's got like them stacked up, like 4 a day. But we're enjoying it though. I mean, it's, you know what? We've been waiting for over a year and a half, or actually more like 2 or 3 years, to see the reaction, and to see this reaction from the fans is literally warming up our hearts.
Yeah. And we're always like, I've learned this through this show, like publicity, and they promote, and it's all about like, when the launch of your show, how does it align to like a Comic-Con, and so like San Diego Comic-Con, sometimes it's New York Comic-Con, sometimes it's the Animation Festival. And so San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. So we're like, we're going to be entering into our big push this weekend with Kate.
And Star Trek Las Vegas, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan will be representing there.
Yes.
Big push.
Yeah, big push. I've been enjoying the show this season. I think I want to say it's better than the first season. It has been really like an adventure nonstop for me. And the crazy thing is, we've been watching these episodes in batches of 5, which we don't usually do. And that means, sitting down and watching 5 episodes at a time, surprisingly easy to do with this show because of the way the pace is and because the content is so good. Are you pleased with this season and how it came out?
I mean, I told Kevin like a long time ago that I was really worried about season 2, because I really liked season 1 and I loved how season 1 ended. I felt like I still think that's one of the best episodes, episode 20. Mm-hmm. And also season 2 was done all over COVID. Like we never had our writer's room in a physical room. It was all on Zoom.
Wow, that's tough.
And our entire production. Every single animator was doing it from their house. And you're like, how is every shot going to match up? Yeah.
So you do the work, but then you question, like, is this real? Like, did we actually make something okay? And we had no idea. And then it got delayed, and then it got delayed some more, and then it got delayed some more. And then finally it came out. And to have it all 20 episodes come out at once, it's nice because you can see it, on July 1st, you can start seeing the first people are like, okay, this is real. And that was like a huge sign of relief for us.
And when Dan told me like, hey Kev, I'm a little nervous about season 2, and I'm like, me too, because season 2, it's all this like time travel, and this I'm like, oh my gosh, like when we were writing it, we're like, what are we doing? We're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot.
Stuff. I was confused with the time. Like I just said, you know what? Don't even try to figure it out.
Just go with it and enjoy it.
Just agree with it.
I was worried
though. I love the ending of season 2. I was like, that's what I felt confident in. Just like I was confident in the finale of season 1. I go, if this is going to be our last Prodigy episode we're going to make, I can die happy. Not that, I mean, we want to do more, but like this one just there's something about it that felt right.
And it's nice how it came out on Netflix. Like it should be binged. It should be like this is like a giant mini series, less than a series. Like even though we have some fun concept episodes, it should all work together. And I'm actually watching season 2 right now for the first time all together. Like usually we're just focusing on making one at a time, and I'm watching one or a handful and making them. But now I just get to watch them. Like I'm on an exercise bike every morning and I'm watching like a bunch at a time because I work out so much, guys. Like I'm joking. But to see them right back to back. And I'm right now at the episode 215 and 216, that big epic battle, when Essentia comes. And I'm just like, yeah. Like I'm on my bike and I'm like, yeah, this is exciting,
A lot of two-parters too this season.
Yeah. That was another worry because season 1 we allowed ourselves to have a lot of like almost TOS or just like any Star Trek series, like to really have a lot of great concept episodes. And season 2, not just with the time travel, but trying to wrap up these stories, you couldn't just wrap them up in an episode or two. It just kept getting more and more serialized.
Yeah, we felt like we were on that track. Yeah, the time we felt like it was hard to be able to get away to have a Tribbles episode, or it was really, and that's where I think some of our more creative, we kind of felt like Spielberg with the shark of how he got really creative with Jaws. We were like, okay, well, I think my favorite is episode 14. Excuse me. Like I remember at the beginning of that episode when we're breaking it, we're like, well, Chakotay and Janeway see each other. We're like, okay, and now what? And we're like, well, wait a minute. What if we do a mirror universe and he gets there and something's not right? And then all of a sudden it feels like a concept episode. On top of it, we get that amazing reunion. Same thing with like the duplicates. We're like, okay, what are they going to do? And our heads always go to the movies in the 80s. We go, Last Starfighter. Okay.
Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
He had to create a doppelganger.
I thought that was so cool.
He had to leave his trailer park and without anyone knowing. So he created that weird, crazy doppelganger thing. And we're like, that's a fun idea. Let's use that in Star Trek.
I love one of the best Starfighter.
Me too. One of the best movies ever, right? Best sci-fi movies.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were able to squeeze in a lot this season because we got the hologram doctor, we got Picardo in there, right? We got Wesley in this season, Will Wheaton coming in. I mean, a lot of Chakotay, which is
Beverly,
eating.
Got some Beverly,
got a tiny bit of Jack, I think, too. I think we got a little dash of Jack.
Dash of Jack.
Giggle
very,
Jack.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, so
it was nice to bring O'Connor back too. Like,
right,
O'Connor. Yeah.
You guys, jumping off on that, do you guys ever think what is the right amount of cameos and legacy people?
I mean, as long as it's justified, as long as there's real story you're not just pulling the card out just for fun,
we always kind of, I mean, from when we were doing Ninjago, like this goes back to, they're like, we have this toy to sell. We're like, we will incorporate it into the show. We're not going to just sell a toy. We're going to sell an experience. And then they're going to want to buy the toy. And I remember like we had this one season where they were on this like, it was like Enter the Dragon on an island. And
they're trapped on an island.
They're trapped on an island. And Lego's like, we want to add a helicopter. We're like, no.
Here's this cool helicopter
that'll
toy.
Save them. We can't have a helicopter. That's too easy.
Like it ruins the whole concept of being trapped on an island. How are we supposed to incorporate a helicopter all of a sudden?
Yeah. And so we're always, I think, the way we think about things is how do we incorporate it into the story? How do we tie it in? How do we make it feel like it's organic and it doesn't feel like we're trying to wink at the audience? We want to make sure that it feels like it's all connected to the main cast. And how does it build them up?
So like, with Will Wheaton, with Wesley, we could have just done one really great episode with them, but we're like, no, let's really tell a great story. I think people are curious what his next chapter is.
I think there was relief too, because Kevin and I felt like we were all knotted up doing a time travel story, and Jen Murrow, brings up this idea of the Time Lord, and we're like, oh, this guy could help us out
He
so
could help
much.
us
Yes.
out of story problems. He could help us out.
Yeah,
So cool.
Well, you do it so beautifully. The homages to other Star Trek doesn't feel like you're doing it for fan service. It feels like it's part of the story. I love that you've integrated the Mars attacks with the synths, and then all of the stories throughout this universe is done so beautifully. And so thank you for that, and thank you for making me cry more than one time in multiple episodes. It's specifically
Name them.
the last
Name
one.
them.
Hey, man, why'd you cry? Why'd you cry?
Well, definitely the last one when the crew was leaving the protostar on Tars Lamora, and then you're going back through how they got there.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want to watch Prodigy from the beginning again.
Kevin and I,
just so good.
thank you so much, number one, for sharing that. And that means a lot to Kevin and I, because I think the things that get us excited are emotional beats. And I remember when we were in the writer's room talking about Utopia Planitia, and we're talking about the Federation retracting its borders. I was just like, oh my God, the ending needs to be they go beyond the borders. I'm like, they need to be the beacon of light. And that right there, Kevin and I are like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And so it's like, that's what we're attracted to, is to find places that move you. And every writer's room we're in, we're like, I just want to be moved. Like, you can give me all the technobabble, I just want to be moved.
We saw like early cuts of that montage as we're going back through time and stuff, and some early cuts of it, we're watching it and we're like, this is not emotional at all. Like, why are there these, like, there's like shots in it. Our editor,
we had a new editor, and he didn't know, but like,
he wasn't as familiar with the show.
Here's
so
40 episodes, make a montage. He's like, I don't know these characters. Let's just take random shots. We're like,
random clips. Yeah.
Like, no,
this doesn't tell the story.
Yeah.
There was like flashbacks of the Diviner. I'm like, why are they having flashbacks of somebody, another character? I'm like, no,
these are moments where they're helping each other and saving each other and finding family. And then our director, Ben, started to re-edited it. And Nami, we worked so hard on getting like the right sound of music for that. And then like when it was done, we're all like, okay, yeah, that's working out. This is good.
So good.
And even for me, I'm sitting there, I am on my exercise bike, and I'm watching.
Why are you trying to tell us that you're?
Zero sacrifices himself. He starts to grow old, and how important it is that he has this physical body, and how and he's willing to totally throw it away for his friends. And I'm like crying. I'm like, even now, I'm like crying watching on my bike.
Yeah. The Zero storyline was one of my favorite this season. I like the episode where Zero actually got this kind of corporeal body, was able to enjoy the feeling of the senses, and I thought that was a great kind of story. Even the idea that the Medusas and all of these other kinds of life form that don't have a body are able to go to this place and get one. I just thought that's a cool Star Trek concept in general, right? That you just you put out there, and I think it was well executed this season. Just on the fact that I watched this show, and I think this is kids on a journey of self-discovery, right? So every kid's growing up trying to figure out, about themselves, and if they have courage, or if they're athletic, or if they're smart in some category or subject, what subject that is. And so watching, Rock Talk figure out that, I'm smart at this subject, where other people that are also smart give me my kudos. The scientist, for example, the Klingon scientist that you had on the episode, kind of acknowledging that Rock Talk has this genius, and other characters as well. I thought that's beautiful. Dal's growth as a leader, trying to learn what it takes to be a captain, he kept saying, "My crew, that's my crew." He kept saying, those moments right there, I thought were great because it's like, oh, they bonded in that kind of way, and also the character, the little Bribble that you.
Oh my gosh.
That's Sirach's favorite.
So
He's gonna have a Bribble on his shoulder in Vegas.
Is
There's
that's
a lot
got
of argument. There's a lot of arguments in that room about Bribble.
I think I would have to say, like, Dan and I argue all the time over stuff. We debate things and stuff. I think Bribble might have been our biggest argument on season 2.
Nice.
And Kevin, you guys can decide.
I was not in
Let's-
favor of Bribble because I'm like,
no. It wasn't that you weren't afraid of. Hold on. Let's have this. This is going to be a wide. You're going to get into the arguments of Kevin.
This
and
is
I.
recording, right? Nice. All right.
Yeah,
There we
okay.
go.
So, the original pitch was, I thought it was heartbreaking that she makes a mistake and creates something. She loves all animals, but here's an animal that she hates because it's her own mistake. And this mistake is part Bracar, part Tribble. And everyone in the room was so creeped out that there was like a little rock talk. And I'm like, no, but I have a piece of her. And so Kevin, I don't know, what was your side of the argument?
Oh, I did. No. My argument, I didn't have a problem with Bribble in the episode as much as Dan, you're like, Bribble is going to become a part of the team. Bribble is going to become a major.
No, it was the fact that
and I was like, wait a minute.
But it was the fact that it was DNA of her. That's what I was like fighting for. Anyways, that's a little.
It was
piece.
Tuvix.
Yeah.
You didn't have to kill people for it.
But way cuter.
Way
cuter.
cuter.
You know what I actually thought? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to add, like you were talking about Dal and how he changes. And one of the funny things where Dan and I, like, we put our foot in our mouth was we're like, okay, here's the ending. They have a new protostar and there's 2 chairs. There's 2 captains, Dal and Captain Gwyn and Captain Dal. And who was it who said
David Mack is like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. What
that's the worst idea.
2 captains.
Like, imagine a battleship.
It'd all be dead.
Imagine a destroyer with 2 captains, and when things, when they have to agree on what action to take, and like, that's not how the military works. I'm like, you're right.
I'm like, if Kevin and I were both captains, we would kill each other. So it's like,
so then we're like, yeah, and I just personally, I love mirroring how in episode 1, in the pilot of season 1, how Gwyn is tied to the chair as a prisoner.
We knew that
on the protostar, and in the end, she's the captain. And like, what a great transformation of a character, right?
Yeah. Just closing the door on the Bribble. What I found especially poignant for that was,
let's go deeper into Bribble.
Well,
okay,
the fact that she didn't like it because she created this monstrosity, right? But what I thought was beautiful about that is, I'm like, but that's science. That's a discovery. So much of science. I feel like the majority of science is accidents, right?
Yeah.
Is mistakes, is discoveries. So that's what I thought was so great, is that she's thinking, I've created a monstrosity.
Living mistake. But the
science world is saying, no, you've created a new being. This is the opposite of a bad thing. So I thought that was
at your
and
that saves them. That saves them in the end of the episode. It's only because she made that mistake they were able to get out of the finale and move on to the next episode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I was watching this thinking, if Cenk and Paul could just come over and fix my car, because that check engine light keeps coming on, and he's good with stuff.
I love that, dude.
Percussive maintenance.
Percussive maintenance, exactly.
I love that.
I always laugh at percussive maintenance, but I was always worried too, because it's so not Trek. Like hitting something and making it work. I'm like, everyone in the Star Trek community might hate us because of this kind of gag that we're doing.
Yeah. They're like, they're not recalibrating anything.
Yeah, he's just hitting things. That's not how things work.
Yeah, but if anybody remembers the old Nintendo video games, that was exactly how we would fix it.
Yeah, or you blow on it. You get
you
blow the cartridge.
You blow it. You hit it a few times.
Yeah, and smack it. Yeah.
It's a natural instinct for somebody, as soon as they get into some kind of dilemma, especially if the the Coke vending machine takes your money. You use a little bit of percussive maintenance on that too.
Oh yeah.
And then it works. You're kind of like, wow,
It worked.
Like I just did it and it fixed it. Yeah.
I do it to my phone if my phone's not charging well. Technology.
That works.
Even Murph had a lot of growing in this show. I just think about where Murph started and watching Murph kind of be the head security essentially. I love the seatbelt scene where he put the seatbelt on and Chakotay's like, "Oh, security."
He goes, I get it now.
I get it now. Yeah. And
I can spoil a cutting room floor pitch that I always try to get.
Oh,
that never went. It was, so you know how Murph has that little floating globule over his head?
Globule, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be able to turn that into a tiny Murph that can run under doors. So there's a little tiny
Oh my God.
That would be amazing.
I can just see the toys now where there's you take off the thing and you replace it with a little baby Murph. Wow.
So let me ask you, I have a question. There was this transition period where we were searching for a home for this show. Thank God we got a great, backer like Netflix was just, this monolithic giant in the industry. But my question were these episodes already made and we would not have
they were going to come out they were going to come out last December. I think we were going to be done with episode 20 by the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why you see all those awkward commercial break cuts. That's why you see at exactly 22 minutes, at the end of every episode, the music we have to dial everything out and you're out. We've crammed as much as we can in, and because they have that linear TV, as those broadcast TV as those tiny.
I wanted to share some of our feelings during that time. I thought it was so ironic that the villains of the series are the Loom that erase you from existence. And we made a show and Paramount was erasing us off their server. I was like, that is so fitting. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this the way we're going to go?
It's happening for real. Yeah.
You wrote it into existence.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, but it wasn't. Some people might go, oh my gosh, did they incorporate that into the story? Is that what's happening in the background? No, it's a coincidence. But
no, we would have changed the name if we had the ability.
That's what made it even harder is we were making these episodes and we were watching them and we were in those mixing rooms mixing it and finishing
Kevin's on his workout machine crying.
No, but we're all crying, but we're all like, this is just amazing. We were so happy and proud of these episodes and that stuff to happen. We're just
sitting on episode 14.
That's why we had
Janeway come together. We're like, oh my gosh, this is it.
Yeah.
But that's why we had hope. We always had hope, even before we started the news came out, and before the fans were starting to react. We're just like, this show's too good for this. Something's going to happen. It's going to get out.
We had a lot of supporters though, like Alex Kurtzman, and there were some people at CBS who were like, yeah, let's finish the show, and they were behind us. And I think if we didn't have that, it would be a lot more dire.
Oh, wow.
Not to dwell on that too much, but actually, I was kind of wondering, did you hear the news before the news broke, or was it all, you guys all kind of found out the same day that it was being removed from Paramount? And if you could just kind of reflect on the dichotomy of that feeling last year with the feeling this year where people are going bananas for this beautiful show.
I remember when we heard it, we had a Zoom, and when we joined the Zoom, there was 30 people were joining the Zoom. And Kurtzman was there. I was like, that's a lot of people. Usually our Zooms are like this. And to see 30 people, I was like, this is going to be bad news. And that was tragic. And then I remember the date in which we found out Netflix was picking it up. My teeth were getting drilled on at the dentist. And I'm like, hold on, got a call. And they told me the news, and I was so happy. I was just like, they were drilling on me for like forever, and I was like, I had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, Netflix. And
The
and again,
happiest
I
dentist
think,
trip.
yeah. And then I was bragging to the dentist, and the dentist was like, I don't care. I was like, no, you don't understand.
Stay still. Would you stand still,
Yeah.
please?
And I think in July, you know, I was excited. I was excited to see the trailer. I was like, it was a really great trailer for season 2. And then hearing people talk about it, I was like, it's working, it's working, it's working, it's working. And to see it steamroll, and to see, like, you know, 80% of the tweets are like, this is one of the best Trek series. I see it now. It is such a testament to the work that the whole crew did, and that, like, we were all putting our hearts into it. And to see it pay off like that is massively validating. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The only thing I was just going to add is, you know, Dan and I have been writing TV and feature films for 20 plus years, and you get thick skin. It's a hard business. I mean, every project we've worked on, it never goes the way you think, and there's always these surprises. And I think now, like, even with this, I was like, it was such a huge blow, but I swear we were like, right away, we're like, we believe in this thing. This is going to turn out good. This is going to, we've been in fights before.
We always stay kind of even keeled. We figure out a way to buoy ourselves.
Yeah. You
it's never as bad as it is. It's never as good as it is. Like, even now, like we're getting some amazing feedback. We're like, you know what? Like, let's temper ourselves. Like, it's great that we're getting this validation, but, you know, doesn't mean anything just yet. But I think that's our way as writers to always
stay alive. So otherwise it's soul crushing, right?
I want to compliment you also on the visual effects on this series, because the space shots, the fighting, the explosions, the planetary surfaces, the different planets you visit, the nebulas that you fly through, the wormholes, all of that stuff looks so well done and so, like, clean. I mean, I can't think of it being better. And it actually makes me.
No.
It's all me.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean,
I'm like, guys, we're gonna go pew pew pew. This is gonna go pew pew pew, and then they just made it.
And they just made it. Yeah. I mean, it's visually so beautiful to watch, and sometimes I actually, like, you get lost in it when you start to just, I don't know, I just suspend almost reality for a second. It becomes almost, to me, like I'm watching a real live film show as opposed to an animated show.
Yeah.
At some point, my mind just kind of blends it all together.
And I have to say, your ears also. It's the amazing sound design that our guy Matt Klimek did, and, like, he loves Star Trek, and, you know, because again, I was watching these last 2 episodes where there's a lot of space battle stuff, and I was just like, it sounded so good. You know, the Delta flyers and all that stuff.
They're doing these things that are just, they're tweaking it, they're tuning it, they're getting it better and better. It's just like the ambition is all there on the whole team, and it's like, how do we make it just a little bit better?
Yeah. And then Nami Melamad's music, the score doesn't make you think TV cartoon score. It evokes, like,
Nami's scoring is unbelievable.
We all think it's a movie, so we write it like a movie, we direct it like a movie, we treat it like a movie. And I think, you know, that this is the result.
And honestly, like, to put things, you know, I'm not going to say exact numbers, but the budget of our show is not a lot. It is not a lot of money.
It's good, but it's not a lot compared to some of the other top.
It looks so much better and sounds so much better than I don't want to even compare it to other things.
It looks fantastic. So I will definitely second that.
It's gorgeous.
It's clean. It's gorgeous. The color palette is you know, the purples, the hues, like, you know, that's behind Melissa. It's just like, it's just rich. It was a little bit.
My favorite. Hold on, Sirach. My favorite, because I was just watching it. I love it when it's like these wide shots and, like, the ship is super tiny. It just feels like Dune. It feels like there's these massive. That's like when the screen is filled with art, and or galaxies or whatever it is. I'm like so proud. I'm like, oh my
There
God,
was a
this is
scene. Yeah, there was a scene like that. I don't remember. I might have been episode 16 where we see all those little ships just kind of skittering out like that. And the sound design on that was amazing. I was like, I want to watch this in a theater. I bet you it just sounds
I know.
unbelievable in the theater.
Yeah.
But I just want to jump
Yeah.
on that. There's some really good moments there
Well,
for sure.
I do have a dream that like at some point there'll be like some fan festival where we've rented out a theater and we're just going to watch a whole season.
Yeah.
Oh, a whole season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a whole
That is
season.
that's a little too much, Kevin. Hold on. That's Kevin's
I was
gonna
thinking
do
a
it.
two-parter.
Everybody's nightmare.
But
I'll be on the
that
cruise.
visual aspect also extends to the aliens that you've created, and they're not all humanoid, and some of them are humanoid. But I remember thinking when the Valnakat is gathered around Gwen to give her their energy, and I'm thinking, I love the Valnakat. What a great species. And there's other great species. Even the loom. What a neat kind of species. And I love where you go with that. It lends so much to the imagination, and visually it's stunning as well.
I think Walkie can attest as like a Trek fan. It's like we're very lucky. We're very fortunate to be able to have the sandbox to go, what do we do? What do we add to the gumbo? You know, and these are the things. It's like we have it's a dream job. And so we treat it as such, and we're so thankful that that stuff is resonating.
You did make some additions, and that's really tough. I mean, it's kind of the curse and the blessing of you got this giant sandbox, but then there are tons of rules you have to follow. There are tons of things that are already established. How do you create something new that isn't similar to something else or that doesn't step on something else? And things like the loom were very creative, new and different in the Star Trek universe, and perfectly executed. I was actually kind of proud of Star Trek Prodigy for what you have added to the Star Trek lore, because it's not easy to do that. A lot of Star Trek shows are just like, hey, we've got enough pieces already established. Let's just play with those. It's hard to create something new, but you really did it, and I thought you did an amazing job with it.
There's like a famous quote, like a good writer borrows and a great writer steals. And so like I don't think I've seen anyone guess where the loom were sort of inspired by, but they're inspired by a movie called Dark City by Alex Proyas. And it's about a secret society of people that time stops, and they come in, they manipulate reality, and no one knows they're there. And for us, we were like, we want this to be a film that is interesting and fantastical to kind of grab the imagination of adults, but we don't want it overly violent that a kid can't watch it. And so we thought, instead of monsters that are eating you alive and it's bloody or this or that, they're going to erase you. And then it's like, how creepy. That's my favorite moment is when Tysus comes back and he's like, oh, Middleton's gone. And everyone's like, who? He's like, Middleton, he came down with me. And everyone's like, there's no record of any Middleton. I don't know who you're talking about.
You guys know the backstory of Middleton? Do you guys know? Okay, so Middleton is based off and played by McGregor Middleton, who was our line producer on season 1.
Oh, did not know that.
And between season 1 and season 2, he's like, I have to take a better opportunity. And we're like, okay, we love you, McGregor. Now
but he loved our show. He
loves Trek, and we're like, we're going to put you into Trek and race you in the most fun-loving way. We just had lunch with him today. I was like, and we even gave him the Wilhelm scream, and he was like tickled.
I heard that. I heard the Wilhelm scream.
Best gift.
Yes.
I was going to say too, with the loom, it's based. I mean, I think it's born out of our fear of time travel stories. When like you give us a Time Lord, and then we have this idea of like something that eat paradoxes. We're like, yes, this is only going to help out our time travel shenanigan season. So it just all kind of fit together.
Yeah,
well,
with the time stuff, I'm like, blow my head up.
We only have you guys for a couple minutes left, and we do want to thank you immensely for joining us. I know it's a busy time for you, and you've given us a lot. Have you already? You can't help it. I know it's an automatic thing, but how much have you looked into? Well, if season 3 were to get picked up, I got a few ideas. How much has
it's
that
gonna have
happened?
massive the original, it'll have a lot of TOS feels, I think. It's gonna feel
Mhm.
it kind of like it gives us a reset where you know the characters, you know where they are. Now let's go see what happens.
We also love we want to grow up with these kids. And so if we ever got the chance to do a season 3, the sad part is there's no more production. Everyone is gone. If Netflix does approve us, we'd have to get the gang back together. We'd have to get new people to like, how do we rebuild this production, right? And then by the time you get it done, it will be some time. So our voice actors will be older, Rock Talk's going to be older. And so instead of like, oh, let's recast, let's keep them the same. I think our gut is season 3, we want a little time has passed and they're all a little bit older, and Murph is a little taller and little more advanced, and, and grow up with them and make it feel like kind of not a new experience, but the next chapter.
I also heard Netflix is going to pick up seasons 3, 4, and 5 so you can shoot them at the same time.
That would be amazing.
Oh, very nice of you.
That would be amazing.
Kevin, I had an idea that I don't even think I shared with you. I love the idea.
Glad you're sharing it publicly with the world.
So where you can't really use it.
I hope I like it.
When is it going to come out? I don't know. But I love the idea if like Dal is on like a solo mission and he finds some alien technology spaceship. He's thinking, "Oh, this is like another spaceship I can steal." Smash cut to, he gives it to his friends. He's like, "I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not going to steal a spaceship. Let's actually figure out what we're going to do with this thing."
A little tease, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
you think
Dal.
he's going to go back to his Dal ways?
Yeah.
Like, no.
No, and exactly, Dal.
I learned my lesson.
Dal be, Gwyn's number one, and while he has that wild spirit, he's much more responsible now. He's much smarter.
Yeah, there's a budding love story between Gwen and Dal, and that's another common thread. The kind of attraction that they have for each other, the feelings that are growing. I think that's a great thing. And also, you picked up on the Chakotay, Janeway kind of chemistry there as well.
Yeah.
I felt a lot of undertone between the two characters there. It almost felt like picking up where Voyager kind of left off and giving the fans a little bit of what they want in that category too.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't have him build a bathtub and you see that. I feel like
yeah, we all kind of thought for a second, we're like, are we going to see that? Are we going to see?
Well, we just didn't show the bathtub.
It was implied. By the way, when Sirach was talking about the budding love story, remember, you can't spell Gwendala without Dal. So there's a thing.
All right. There you go. You guys can use that.
Yeah, feel free.
We'll use that for season 3. Okay.
Yeah, 3 through 5. Anyway, Dan and Kevin, this is so great. We really appreciate you taking the time for us. We appreciate what you've added to the Star Trek universe. We are rooting for you and doing everything that we can to make more seasons happen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
And thank you for really pushing this and really getting the word out there. And we wouldn't be here without your support. So thank you.
Yeah, it means everything. So thank you guys.
But just so for the record, this show is easy sell. Selling something that you don't like or that's bad, that's the difficult stuff. But this right here, it's easy to watch. It goes down smooth. It's, what do they say? Less filling, great taste, less filling. It's all of that, right?
Yeah. Remember, Sirach and I just got through the first 2 seasons of TNG. That's what he's referencing.
But no, I enjoy this show, and you guys have been knocking it out the park. We're keeping our fingers crossed for season 3, and I hope everybody goes out there and watches this season on Netflix because we need to get those numbers up.
Yep.
Yeah, and I hope we'll
Absolutely.
chat again, when that day comes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we will. And Melissa's the real deal. I just want to point out, she watched all 20 episodes in like the first day or two. Sirach and I have been super patient. We're like, let's just, no, we got to be professionals about this. Melissa's like, I'm done. I'll do it again.
Wait, so I've not been able to ask, what was that like? Were there like pee breaks where you're like, okay, do I watch more or should I like go to bed? Or how did you like, was there any place where you're like, well, maybe I can stop after episode 12?
Or you were just like,
Yeah.
it's all 20 now or nothing. Go.
She was texting me spoilers.
Oh no.
She's like, oh my God, I love Rock Talk. Oh my God.
Wait, and have you guys seen you've seen the ending, right, of season
Oh yeah,
2?
that's it.
Right.
Yeah, we did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can go back and binge the whole thing. But sorry, Melissa,
Good.
you were saying.
Yeah, no, but I watched it in several days while I was working, which I watched more than I worked.
Oh no.
Well, this is work, so.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to do stuff, getting inventory ready for Vegas, and I'm like, oh, what? No! And then episode 10 comes along, and I'm like, Janeway, yes, I love you. And then because she's in that tank top, and it was so good. It was, I have not loved Janeway so much as I have loved her in Prodigy.
A lot of people saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I love that.
But yeah, so there were pee breaks and there were workout breaks, not on a bike, but workout breaks, and and I did have to go to sleep. But I couldn't stop watching it, which is why I binged it so quickly. It was such an easy watch, and I didn't want to stop because I wanted to find out what was happening. And the beautiful thing about this show is that I love every character because every character has their own skill, their own specialness, and it adds to the collective of them all, which is so wonderful. And I love that there's not just one hero. I love that they're all heroes in their own right, including Janeway and Chakotay and the Legacy crew, and then the kids come along and they add so much richness, and it's just wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That's what our texts are like.
Oh yeah. And I want to double down just really quickly on Kate Mulgrew being a fantastic, just leader of this show. Her character, Janeway, I have to agree with Melissa. I like her more because of the way she has interacted with this crew of people, with Dal, and I just love her more because she seems like more compassionate. There's a sensitivity there. There's an understanding that it's about their development. There's kind of a torch passing element to what she's doing. There's a lot of leadership that I think that Janeway shows in this animated series that just takes her up a notch in my book, just character profile wise.
And she's easy to write when the actual actress Kate Mulgrew is amazing. It's one of those things of she's so fun to write for because we love her as much as we like Hologram Janeway or Admiral Janeway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't wait. She reached out to us. She's like, "We got to do dinner, boys." In San Diego. I'm like, "Yes,
nice."
Yeah, we have
pizza for everybody. All right. Well, this has been great, and we really appreciate you guys. We could go on and on and on, especially about Beltran's sultry voice and Picardo's softened delivery of the EMH. I fell in love with the EMH all over again. We could go on forever. We will, all over social media, and we will keep talking about it. But until then, let's give a very special thanks to our friends, Homer Frizzell, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Titus Muller, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Tierney C. Diekman, Anil O. Palat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, Edward Foltz, My Live from Tokyo, the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Justin Weir, Jake Barrett, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manisfee, Jed Thompson, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Glenn Iverson, Dave Gregory, Tim Baum, Chris Sternett, the Roddenberries, that's the STLV house band, Jason Oken, and of course, Greg K. Wickstrom out in Hawaii. I saw Ciroc do a Leech High tilt when I said that. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, Leech High.
Anyway, thank you so much to Kevin and Dan. We really appreciate you. And we're rooting for you all the way. And everybody, keep watching Prodigy, keep clicking and hashtagging. Make it happen for all of us. And until then, see you next time on The Seventh Rule.